What's up, peers, and welcome to Open Source Everything here live on the World Crypto Network. And peers, it has happened. It has happened. Adam has released the Wasabi wallet to version 1.0. And to celebrate this amazing event, let's read the call to action on wasabiwallet.io. Reclaim your privacy now. As Bitcoin is becoming more and more mainstream, its fungibility is being threatened. Powerful interests are spending immeasurable resources on mass surveillance, and blockchain analysis companies are rapidly gaining traction. Meanwhile, privacy work on Bitcoin is also gaining momentum, but it is up to you who wins the battle. Wasabi is an open source, non-custodial, privacy-focused Bitcoin wallet that implements trustless coin shuffling with mathematically provable anonymity, Chaumian CoinJoins. It is the first of its kind. However, anonymity loves company. The more users there are, the better your privacy, and the faster the CoinJoin rounds will be. Whether you are looking for state-of-the-art operational security, or you are philosophically aligned with the principles of freedom and privacy, now it is your time to contribute. Fire up Wasabi and start providing liquidity for CoinJoins to bootstrap the system. And peers, we have company. We are joined by Nopara, by Adam, who has been working on the Wasabi wallet for several years now. And it is truly a beautiful piece of software. Adam, what's up?
Thanks for having me, Max. By the way, interesting fact that, do you notice something from that call for action? Something is missing, a word.
Now.
I couldn't use mixing. I was not allowed to. So I had to say shuffling, CoinJoin, everything but mixing.
Why no mixing?
I don't know. That's the correct technical term, but it might be problematic from other point of views.
Well, but where's the difference, the technical difference from shuffling and mixing?
Well, mixing is the terminology which is most used to do. So yeah, you're right. It doesn't. Yeah, mixing is the what's most used. Coin shuffle was the thing that introduced the shuffling, I think. And yeah, no one ever used shuffling except coin shuffle. That's what I remember. Maybe some centralized mixers, I don't know. Yeah, so mixing would be the good one, but we could not. So that's it. That's it.
Well, regarding the words, is the true action that Wasabi has.
It seems like either you freezed or I freezed. Okay, you freezed. And I don't know if people in the chat hear me because I cannot see myself. So can you write in the chat if you can hear me? Oh, anyone? Oh, awesome. Okay, so it looks like Max is away. I take over the show, guys. All right. This did not happen before. But then let's check out Wasabi or something until Max comes back. You can actually test Wasabi on the testnet. In the settings, you go to testnet and it's going to be on the testnet after you restart the software. So, for example, I have I have a testnet wallet which I load, and here we go. For those who never seen the wallet, you can receive money, you can send money, that's it, and you can CoinJoin, which in the testnet, the number of peers I put to 2, and my password is exactly nothing. And this is how you start. All right, I hear something. Max is back, isn't it?
I am. Piers, that's how bad it is. The laptop is 7 years old, and it really is old, and that's why I'm this time not running Wasabi, because I don't think the laptop can even handle 2 different browsers, let alone running Wasabi.
I was talking to myself, so
Well, you were talking to the audience, so that is the important part.
we were talking about you.
Oh no, I hope only good stuff. So, Adam, now that you have released version 1.0, maybe let's go back a bit before that, and what was missing before you were satisfied enough to publish Wasabi as version 1.0? What was the stuff you were waiting on?
I was waiting on some reports that, oh no, something very bad things are happening inside Wasabi, and this doesn't work, but there were no critical problems. So after 1 month, like nothing serious issue has been found, and all right, I think we're ready then. But also we had a roadmap timeline, so anyway, we didn't find any issue. That was the main reason why we did not delay the 1.0 release.
Perfect. And why the Bitcoin white paper anniversary?
I think it's a nice way to celebrate the Bitcoin white paper's anniversary. I mean, come on, this is the first time that people can conveniently use Bitcoin anonymously, and it's just huge. Fungibility is one of the properties of good money, and we are building money, and we want to so we have a specification, right? Specification says money has to be fungible, so that's how we are building money. So I think this is huge. It's not decentralized, which sucks, but somewhere you have to start.
Well, yeah, that really is correct, right? The fungibility aspect is key to any money, and it makes sense, right? Questions like how much money do you have? What did you buy yesterday? These are uncomfortable questions, and we do not want to answer them. Why? Because this is none of your business. It's not that I have nothing to hide. It's that I have nothing to share. And the aspect of Bitcoin being a gossiping network, right? Everyone running a Bitcoin full node keeps a copy of the entire blockchain. This means every transaction, including yours. And these are inherently not anonymous, right? Because everyone has them and everyone can access them. As a matter of fact, that's a feature, not a bug in the blockchain base layer aspect of Bitcoin. But of course, as money itself, it truly needs to be fungible. It needs to be private, because otherwise this might be a horrible surveillance tool. And we are currently already seeing this with the chain analysis companies. So what is, or how can Wasabi make chain analysis companies struggle to break your privacy? What are the assumptions that a Wasabi wallet can break?
There are no assumptions. Wasabi doesn't break heuristics today. Actually, you can do transactions. Those can be interpreted in many ways, but Wasabi doesn't break any heuristic. Wasabi just adds how can I say the difference? The difference between breaking heuristics and adding provable privacy is that the heuristic knows that it can be this 40 ways that coin went. So the heuristic is correct. What they are applying, it just they cannot apply it to. They cannot really use that for anything other than the fact that figuring out, hey, this coin went into mixing and some other coins came out of mixing, and that's the only thing what they can figure out. Ideally, if you don't fuck up other things like, I don't know, posting your posting a screenshot of Wasabi to Twitter while you are mixing. Yeah, that you can dox yourself that way. Sorry, guys.
Well, you know, that's the thing, man. Wasabi makes us so excited, and we do want to share this amazing stuff. But when you tell everyone that Wasabi is amazing, and when you tell everyone that you're doing a CoinJoin round, well, that kind of defeats the entire purpose. The misfortunate thing is that it's not just for you; it's also for the other people involved in the CoinJoin, right? Because it decreases the anonymity set.
Yes, exactly. The other people involved are getting their anonymity is getting worse too, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, there are 49 people, and probably 40 are very, very keen to not losing their privacy in other ways. I mean, I hope so. Yeah.
And that's the thing, right? The privacy lacks anonymity, as it says here in the call to action. And of course, that means in specifically Wasabi, liquidity, right? That means that a lot of people have to commit their Bitcoin to a CoinJoin round. And that inherently leads to more Bitcoin being made to equal amount, more UTXOs. So how have you seen the jump in liquidity during the alpha release, and especially now a couple days after?
I think you were wanted to ask the 1.0, right? You said alpha. Okay. You wanted to ask about the 1.0 release, that how the liquidity went up.
Yes.
Liquidity went to the roof. I was not expecting. Yeah, it's crazy. Interesting thing I noticed that during the beta release there were complaints and stuff, but there was no complaint at all about that we are using batch 32 native segregated witness addresses. So it looked like everyone is pretty well understands that how to send money to native SegWit addresses. But now, after the 1.0 release, I think less knowledgeable people came aboard, and now many people don't understand native segregated witness addresses. So that's one interesting thing I noticed. Yeah.
In what sense do they not understand the native SegWit addresses?
Sending me a message that my copay wallet says invalid address. So yeah.
Well, that is annoying, right? SegWit is amazing pretty much on every level, and it is now over a year since it has been implemented in Bitcoin. why the hell is not everyone yet using the latest version of the software, especially when it has the economic incentives to do so, right? You save a lot of transaction fees and you gain a bunch of usability to the Bitcoin network. So it's annoying in that sense that Copay has not yet adapted that. But again, that just shows how the importance of owning your own keys and then running your own full node, so that you can set the consensus rules for yourself and make sure that they are up to date to the Schelling point of Bitcoin. So it's annoying. Where do you see the advancement of SegWit and especially in the usability aspect, that companies and people are actually building stuff now with SegWit implemented, like CoinJoins, which would not be possible without SegWit.
So big question is, what can we do about it, right? So for our purposes, the only thing that matters that they should be able to send to base32 addresses, right? Which is just has to be implemented. It's not even hard. It has absolutely zero downside. I mean, when I was writing Hidden Wallet, that was the previous version of Wasabi, then I did not support sending to base32 addresses, and once I realized that I was already supporting it, because like 2-3 months ago I updated Nicolas Dorier's Bitcoin library, and actually that update went through my software, so I just had to push one button, and I didn't even know for 2 months that I was supporting it already. Like, so it's really a no-brainer. So what can we do about it? One thing I was thinking, maybe we can do something like bring up a old kind of address that's temporary and that sweeps the funds into your wallet, right? There is, if you ask an API about an address, that's not a problem. But if you're only asking one address, you're just asking over a new Tor circuit. So that's not a problem from a network analysis point of view. So that's one thing we can do. Other thing we can do is let import private key. No, sweep private key into the system, into Wasabi. So people could put private key and it would be swept into a Wasabi's base32 addresses. So that would be interesting too. It's just not that useful, but it might help some people. Another thing, what would be the cleanest solution is just wait for 2 years. I mean, Wasabi is the wallet of the future, We really just have to wait until these wallets start supporting base32. And one more thing, what we could do is that well, if we would have the resources, that we could go to all the open source Bitcoin wallets and implement it for them, so they just have to merge it, right? So that's what we could do. Maybe that would be a good way to go about it, right? If you help other wallets to send to base32, then you are benefiting from them.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're also joined by Shinobius right after the Block Digest, which both Adam and Shinobi were on. Amazing show, as always. So please check out the Block Digest. I hope you already have before that. Shinobius, what do you think about SegWit, and how can we make sure that the adoption is going to continue?
Well, first, hi, everybody. Thanks for the plug and the Schelling. Honestly, I think really what it comes down to is like the software and the businesses. And specifically in terms of both of those, there's a few players that are just really dragging their feet on it. Like, for instance, Coinbase finally at least implemented recognition of BEC32, I think, so you can withdraw to them. But they still aren't supporting deposits to BEC32 themselves. Blockchain Info is another great example. They claimed in February of 2017 that they were ready to go with SegWit integration, but they still haven't even implemented like the pay to script hash SegWit, let alone native SegWit addresses with BEC32. And we're now a year and more than a year and a half past the date when they claimed they were ready to go out of the gate. And it's really just like, I think a combination of just groups that are stressed in terms of resources and really kind of scraping by without a lot of time to allocate to things they would like to, and then a few businesses that are intentionally not doing so out of a malicious intent to kind of stagnate things for Bitcoin and push alternatives. So, I mean, it's, help out the guys who need help and call out the people who are actively trying to harm things.
There is a difference between BEC32 and Vrop SegWit. The addresses that starts with 3 and the addresses that starts with BC1. BC1, BC. Let me check it.
It's BC1.
Actually, I don't think I've
yes.
ever seen a BEC32 that didn't have the Q after the 1, 2.
All right. Anyway, but integrating BEC32 just doesn't make sense. I mean, come on, what do you want? A bunch of support requests like me? I integrated because I had to, because I did not have any other choice. But Samurai did it pretty well, actually. They did so you can use BEC32. In fact, Bitcoin Core did it well too. I don't know, it just adds to the complexity of the UX, but yeah, okay. It makes sense. It's a bit of a mess. You have to. It's a bad consequence of a necessary solution to avoid hard fork, right? That's what happened. Yeah, so that's it.
Well, yeah, a core attribute of Bitcoin is that it is unchangeable, right? And that the consensus rules cannot easily be shifted from A to B. And that's a feature, not a bug. But still, there are ways, like the user-activated soft fork, to get SegWit implemented. And SegWit is not a new thing, right? It has been in development for a long time. And there have been a lot of testing even before it was implemented to Bitcoin, of course. And now it was implemented on Litecoin, even on mainnet before. So there was a lot of testing possible. And there are amazing implications of using it. And now it's been over 1 year since it was being implemented in the war, right? This was the user-activated soft fork. This was the true telling for Bitcoin who really owns it and controls it. And it's just sad to see that although there are seemingly only net positives for SegWit, including the malleability fix and the block size increase, thus a decrease in transaction fees, which is so amazing. So it's just it baffles me that the usage of SegWit is still down. So just sucks.
I mean, it's partly the entire attitude of Silicon Valley. I mean, and if you look specifically at a lot of the companies and projects that are dragging their feet on it, they're generally the Silicon Valley centric projects. And this is a place where, you frankly, you have these arrogant dipshits running the company whose attitude about technology and developers is you do what I fucking say. Like, I'm in charge, I tell you what to do, and you do it. And a lot of those people have just, frankly, turned into whiny children that the developers in this space, who are not their employees, not accountable to them, are effectively going, no, like what you want to do is idiotic and very damaging to what we're working on. So we're not going to do it, and we're going to do this instead. And so it's created this dynamic of butthurt alienation where now they don't want to really contribute to implementing things for that project. They want to move over to alternatives just because of this personal dynamic that has effectively attacked their ego, because the developers dare not listen to them.
Exactly, and that is what Bitcoin is about, right? It's a voluntary based system, and if you have changes to the software, well, you have to propose it and hope that people upgrade it. But you cannot make some software upgrade automatically, and at least not, you know, the Bitcoin client, which is good. So maybe to bring this back a bit to Wasabi, and especially what I think is so important and interesting is the liquidity aspect. So when I first downloaded Wasabi a couple blocks ago, the anonymity set was like 6 or 8 rounds. So not many peers joining every individual CoinJoin. And if finishing up one CoinJoin round still took pretty much the entire day. And now with the current implementation of Wasabi, we see anonymity sets of 49. So a lot of different peers joining this round. And there are still pretty much one CoinJoin round every day. And we're just about to finish another one. So that maybe we can get that in during the show. So Adam, how do you think will this increase in liquidity continue? And what do you think will be rather soon a steady time for these CoinJoins? When will the round finish, and what will be the anonymity set?
On the one hand, I am very happy of this huge increase of users. On the other hand, I got so many requests, feature requests, and stuff like that, that I would love to get back and code and fix everyone's problems before they even ask. Sorry, I forget the second part of the question.
Well, it's incredible that you just don't stop coding. Apparently, you don't need breaks. The second part of the question was, how do you think will the liquidity continue to develop, and what will be the time frame of when the CoinJoin will be done?
Yes, so I think we are going. The liquidity is growing still steadily. It might be because we are on the front page of Orbitcoin. The moderators were very, very helpful. They offered us. I don't know if you noticed that, but on Orbitcoin subreddit, there is on the left side down. No, on the right side. Wait, for people that's okay. On the right side down, there is a box where they advertise. I think I only saw 4 things there. One was BTC Pay, the other was Electrum, and the other was their own subreddit or Bitcoin. That wizard guy join us anyway, and now Wasabi, and they are trying to put projects those actually contribute to the space and make it overall much better. And so they are not going to put Coinbase there, for example, and they are not asking money for that, right? So that's this is great. They are that's how you run something with principles, right? So rare in this space. Anyway,
Stop covering, Adam. We know it's a Blockstream conspiracy. We know you're on their payroll now.
Yeah. man. Max, are you still here?
I am, surprisingly. The laptop has not yet died down. But like that's the thing. How can we make sure that a amazing project like Wasabi gets the recognition that it deserves? And as you said, privacy likes company. So having this additional publicity, so to say, um, how can we make sure that that we continue increasing the liquidity?
So maybe you can go to the Wasabi wallet subreddit and answer people's questions there, so I don't have to, and I can code more, and the liquidity will increase. Something like that can work. Yeah. So I think now we get back for a while and fix a lot of stuff, and then we will figure out what's next in terms of I'd like to create a lot of content. I even want to write a book, Anonymous Bitcoin 2.0, because the first one was written by Atlas, and I want to write the second one because it's about time. So it would be nice to create some content and get liquidity by actually creating useful content to the user. While I mean, it might be too idealistic, but ideally that's how it would go, and not we are putting out, I don't know, Facebook ads or something like that. Maybe we go with billboards.
No, dude, didn't you know that people are advertising on Bitcoin by spamming people's wallets with dusts using op return? Dude, you got to get with the 21st century, man. Advertisements changing.
Maybe you know that's what Tim Darper did back then with oh, I don't know, Yahoo was some email was his email, and in every email his user sent something. He advertised his company at the end of the email, and yeah, Bitcoin wallets can start spamming op returns too.
and it could be done with a CoinJoin. So with one transaction, you just create 1,000 inputs, have a huge anonymity set, and with that, you spam active wallets, and they will be like, oh, what is this? Free money in my wallet. Turns out it's from a CoinJoin, Chaumian CoinJoin, from the Wasabi wallet. That's perfect. That's perfect. Why are you not doing this? That's a huge missed opportunity.
Brilliant. Nobody will know who's doing the advertising.
No. Maybe in every CoinJoin, it's actually a good idea. Maybe in every CoinJoin there can be an op return that has a message that one of the users put the message there. I don't know, maybe someone who's paying the highest fee or something like that, and that would be interesting. Sometimes some interesting message could come out, like "Don't trust where," something like that. Yeah, it's a good idea. It's a okay idea. Yeah.
Well, the marketing department for Wasabi clearly needs needs some boost, and I do think that spam is the way to go.
It's always the way to go. I mean, dude, Bcash wouldn't exist without spam. Look at what spam has accomplished when you really put your spam to it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, and quite interesting that it's still going on. And I'm curious to see how it will evolve, because it is an attack vector. Right? This is an attack on Bitcoin. This is spam transactions. increasing the transaction fees and making amazing stuff like CoinJoins more expensive and thus less usable and less used, thus giving less liquidity and therefore a decrease in anonymity set. So, Adam, do you think that these types of spams are actually an attack against Bitcoin's privacy?
I think the intent is just not there. I think it's too far-fetched. Maybe it comes down sometimes to this, that the Bitcoin privacy. If you are spamming the network in a way that somehow wallet starts to compete on top of each other, then that sucks, and that sucks for Bitcoin privacy too. But that's not the goal of the spamming attack, right? What does the spamming attack wants to reach? Not to ruin Bitcoin privacy, but to show how good the Bcash chain is compared to Bitcoin, something like that, or go to increase the block size. That's the goal of the spamming attack, not an attack on privacy.
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, like, correct me if I'm just being an idiot here, Nopara, but like the dusting attacks, they're so called, to like de-anonymize wallets by tracing output condensing. I've never really understood the logic behind it, because like if you're giving this dust input, assuming a wallet's going to automatically spend it and mix with other inputs, like what benefit does the dust give? Because like you're already merging inputs in a transaction and you can see that merging. So how does a dust input or no dust input really change that?
Okay, you are not saying stupid things, but because I thought that too. I thought the dusting attack is stupid, and then I saw the samurai devs tweeted something, and I wanted to write to one of the Laurent, right? Wanted to write to him that, hey, but why do you tweet? Why do you guys talk about things like this? It's stupid. And then I wanted to explain him that how it's stupid and why I wanted to tell him this. I realized that it makes sense, and I can't remember what was the logic. But maybe if you talk a little bit, maybe I will remember. But it's not stupid. It's definitely not stupid. That's what I thought too, but it's not.
Well, I mean, I just can't, like, how does that provide like an extra fingerprint that isn't already there by the inputs being combined in a single transaction?
Oh, yes. I got it. So, for example, what's the problem? The problem with the dusting attack is until you don't expose an address of yours, right? And if you don't expose an address of yours, they don't know where to send the dust. But if someone, because there is no address reuse in Bitcoin wallets, and let's say there is a very old Bitcoin transaction in a wallet, and oh, okay, I send some dust to that Bitcoin address, and now there is an address reuse. You start to get it. There is an address reuse.
Okay, so that would link the old address to the new one, and so you can
the cluster of the old address to the new ones too. The cluster of the old. So, wow, yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, That when you put it like that, yeah. Okay, so yeah, I was being stupid. Thank you, Nopara.
Well, how stupid I would have been if I start to write Lauren. That why are they doing this? This doesn't make sense. This does. This definitely does.
Because then you link that old address to the new ones, and then everything in between gets way easier to figure out.
But in Wasabi, you fix. I fixed it. I didn't even know I fixed it because what does Wasabi do? You have to select manually the coins, right? So if there is a dust, you are going to see that and you're not going to fuck that up. And in fact, if there is a dust that you're going to see, because in Wasabi there is a history tab and there are the labels, what was concerned about that coin. For example, Polonia exchange of whatever, there is a cluster, and you can see by the cluster of the dust coin that, hey, this is this cluster and this is what happened to this, I don't know, half a year ago or something. Yeah, so in Wasabi you're good.
And that just shows how important it is to have good UTXO management, to know which UTXO is what and how they are correlated, and if you can join them together in a transaction. And I think that is just the key selection in general is, as a coin selection, is quite a tricky task. And as I understand it currently, although there has been an update to coin selection in Bitcoin Core, it is still basically a random walk. You just choose which UTXO you're going to put together based on random chance, and which will finally fill up the wallet to the most minimum amount with the least amount of change outputs required. But that still means that it is not yet optimized for privacy. So how can we make sure that coin selection is privacy preserving in a automatic fashion?
And user friendly. I have a great idea about this, and I wrote about this back then, but I never had the time to work. Imagine if you open a wallet, let's say on your mobile wallet, you open it, and it doesn't show you the addresses and all this shit, but actually shows you a big bubble. It's just an empty bubble. What do you do with an empty bubble? Like, you try to pop it. What happens when you pop it? It pops up a Bitcoin address. So now you have a Bitcoin address you can receive money to. And when you receive the money, it becomes a coin. Another bubble. And then when you want to spend that coin, then you grab that coin and put it to the transaction and send it, something like that. I think that would be a very fun way to build a Bitcoin wallet and a very privacy preserving way too. So that would be interesting to see it on mobile. I would love to build it so much. I would love to build so many things, but this too. Did you guys understand what I was talking about? Could you imagine?
Yeah. Just graphically show it in a way where you get rid of like these balance abstractions and everything so that the user has to think in terms of outputs. And like, yeah, that's like, as far as like a user controlled management of that, I think that would be an awesome like user interface. And I wish somebody would actually go build it, because you're doing way too much shit.
Guys, what's happening? YouTube has problem. There's 500 people in the watching it right now.
Well, clearly, all those people who have been doing CoinJoins over the last couple blocks, they're here. They're all here. We got company. We're private now.
Fuck off, bots. But like, yeah, it's like, it's like the coin management issue is is really a tough one. And that's what pisses me off the most about hardware wallets, like native applets, is like none of them have a coin control feature. And I mean, like, I understand the logic of wanting to abstract that away from some users who it might be too much for, but like, that's no excuse to not have the option for people who would. Like, I feel like there's too many projects in the space that look at users as if they're complete absolute retards who can't understand or manage anything. And while, yeah, it's important to cover that base, it's also, I think, an unhealthy attitude to make it a blanket assumption and then never try to cater to anything above that bar. Because it's like a lot of people are way more capable than you would assume. And just assuming everybody's the lowest common denominator idiot, like, you're just removing so many features from accessibility to your normal person. And it's like, why? Like, coin management is necessary for privacy. And building a tool like that that's supposed to be like the bridge into Bitcoin for your average person is pretty much just going, well, okay, average person, you're too stupid to have privacy, so we're not going to give it to you. And that's just a horrible attitude, in my opinion.
You know, another idea about coin management that Matthew Highwood told me, actually, this from Blockstream, that Rusty Russell from Blockstream told him an idea about kittens. So every coin of yours is a kitten, right? And you have to grow that kitten up or something like that. And what does it mean to grow that kitten? It's like you have to spend the whole coin at some point in the future. But if you merge two coins into one transaction, then they are gonna fight, and one of them is gonna be killed, and you will have only one change coin. I don't know. So a wallet developer could play with that. That's an interesting idea.
Ensuring children never destroy their privacy on chain.
Well, but is that the true CryptoKitties? And even on a blockchain where it might be useful? Whew.
I don't know if that's the true CryptoKitties, but that's the useful CryptoKitties, that's for sure.
It absolutely is Satoshi's vision, who clearly was a cat person.
We just went into the weeds now, but like, user interface is just like endless things to think about, like different like categories of people, like different age groups, different like cultures, like just different technologies. I mean, like, you can go anything from like an open dime up to like virtual reality, and how do you want to theme like your Bitcoin wallet? And it's just a lot of fun stuff to think about.
And I do think, especially with the user interface to Bitcoin, we can take some clues from the user interface to other currencies, for example, gold or silver. And with these precious metals, the user interface has to be or is being managed by the coin, right? By the imprint on top of the coinage. And just as we have different entrepreneurs providing different minted coins for gold and silver, just as that we have different entrepreneurs providing different user interfaces for Bitcoin. And we will have some really user-friendly stuff that is just as easy as possible with one click and everything else automated. This will happen, right? But on the extreme other side, there will be command line interface wallets that are extremely specialized in one niche. And these are different ends of the spectrum, and we can do a lot of it and see where it takes us, right? This is where we can experiment without asking for permission. right? If you want to design your own wallet and implement your own ideas of how this user interface to a money can work, then do it. Go out there and create your CryptoKitties wallet. Why not?
Yeah, it would be really nice if we would have. I wanted to say if we would have daemons and APIs for Bitcoin wallets, and then people who can do user interface in a good way, then they do that. But it's not how that works, because the API limits that what can you do. So unless you can, and there are already APIs, right? And unless you can touch what's under the API, you're and understand how Bitcoin really works, because if you don't really understand how Bitcoin works, then you cannot design a good user interface, because there are questions you just don't think about. Think about how do you you have a balance, right? And then there are unconfirmed coins, and coins go out, coins come in. So now what you have to do, you have two balances. Or how would you solve that? All right, let's say you have a balance and an unconfirmed balance. Now, what do you do with the unconfirmed balance? How does your user even understands what the heck is that? Or it's just crazy. And yes, so these are hard questions. If you don't understand how Bitcoin exactly works, then you are not going to get the user interface right. Yeah, I mean, look at Coinbase. It's just so hard to use. It's hard to use. So many developers, they are doing different things, right? And just not, for me, it doesn't seem like a coherent platform, or even a usable. I don't know. Coinbase is a pretty good Bitcoin mixer, right? By the way, because most people's threat model doesn't require 3-letter agencies from the United States, but their threat model is actually just their ex-crazy girlfriends and boyfriends, and that's what they want to protect their financial transactions from. And Coinbase does that much better than, let's say, Bitcoin Core, because, well, one is working on the public blockchain, the other one doesn't. So yeah, it's an interesting way to think about.
Well, Coinbase is such a shit show that it is so bad. It's useful for a couple things because of how horrible it is. And of course, your keys, your Bitcoin. So Coinbase, custodial, not interested. And the question here is, how specialized can we get? And I do believe that, especially with open source software, is that scratch your own itch first, right? Make sure that your problems are fixed, and then work on the next stuff, right? And I do believe that having a really, let's say, advanced wallet that really gives you full control over the coin selection and over transaction fees and all this stuff, like really digging down into the details and providing a lot of, well, let's say a lot of usability and customizability for the advanced end user is really valuable. And then having this as the first step, and then on a second step, making sure that it is usable and user-friendly with a nice and intuitive user interface. I do think that we can do quite a lot. It's always a trade-off between usability and security and privacy. But a good user interface can solve a lot of these questions.
You know, you used Wasabi. Shinobi, you used Wasabi, and compared to how I paid a lot of attention, like a lot of attention to try to optimize the user workflow in a way to so it would be intuitive to use. So I tried to steal concepts from other wallets, those concepts that they already taught, they teach their users how to use a Bitcoin wallet, right? And if they come to Wasabi, then they are not going to be like, oh my God, what the fuck is going on here? So and I think I somehow nailed the balance, nailed the balance that how to build an intuitive Bitcoin wallet. Because if you think about it, Wasabi is a very complicated wallet, but even the less experienced users were commenting that, wow, it's so easy to use. And yeah, I don't know, somehow I think, what do you think? Is there anything in it, or it just I'm just looking at the wrong feedbacks? What do you guys think?
I mean, I think you did a really good job with it, man. I mean, really the only thing that kind of jumps to mind is like maybe the way you display the label history could be condensed in a way that's displayed more cleanly. But I mean, because like I could imagine like using it heavily, like that would get pretty cluttered fast. But I mean, aside from that, like it's real simple, really cleanly broken up in the tabs, and like there's not much you look at that's like, oh, I don't know what to do here. Like the whole flow of everything is done pretty well.
Oh yeah, I agree. I think these tabs are amazing. Keeps everything clean and separated. And I would also second Shinobi's point about the transaction history. You force the user to label everything, right? Everything has to be labeled. And that is good. That is exactly how coin selection should work. And I think putting these labels more into the forefront and seeing exactly which label, which UTXO has happened in history and how they are all interlinked would be a nice addition to be more, just having a more compartmentalized history to see how are these UTXOs linked and how were they spent, and just a more, yeah.
I mean, like maybe Nopara, that would be the place to try to start incorporating aspects of that graphical coin selection. You know what I mean? Like move things into like a tree where you can actually see the connections going back.
You know, I want to do that. It just writing graphical things is not as easy as showing a line of text, right? So that's the only reason we didn't do that yet. So the end goal is not to have labels at all. And how can you reach that? It's that if mixing would happen so fast that like every 3 to 5 minutes, for example, and we would have unequal input mixing, and not mixing to always to yourself, but mixing to other people, then you would need no labels at all. Like, why is that for at all? Anyway, so that's the end goal. The intermediary goal is the, yeah, so show some graph, some nice graph. I don't know what kind of graph that works there, but that would work, or the coins that I was talking about. Yeah, that would be nice, but that's still hard. That's still a lot. So this is medium term goal, and the short term goal is to make those history stuff is with like, yeah, you use colored bubbles, right? And those are the clusters, and you can expand those bubbles, and you can see that what is the red bubble cluster, that what kind of transactions are there, and you have to make sure that you don't really want to join together two different colored bubble, and I think that's a fine way to optimize for in the first step, failing the second, and the third, failing the end goal and the medium term goal. Yeah.
First step. So this isn't perfect right now. That okay? You're untrustworthy, Nopara. You're a liar, and Wasabi is not private.
It's vaporware.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like it really, like, the more I talk to you, Nopara, the more like I see that you have a very, very well fleshed out, like, long-term plan on how to continue improving and developing that. And like, that's exactly what I want to see out of somebody in your position. Like, you didn't just push something out and then stop thinking about it.
Well, the thing is, if we would have confidential transactions in Bitcoin, then I would have to throw out all my long-term plans, create new ones.
Good. I hope that's the case, because if we get CT in there, then we solve a lot of issues, and that makes a lot of other stuff possible. So really curious. Yeah.
You know what is interesting about confidential transactions? I was in a privacy workshop where people like Adam Beck, Adam Gibson from Join Market, and these caliber people were there, and we talked about confidential transaction. If we could get into Bitcoin, Adam Beck actually very for it. Adam Beck would love to see it, and the conclusion was that there wouldn't be consensus for it because other people wouldn't do that. But the interesting thing is that what we realized that, well, we are saying that would happen, but no one really tries it. Like no one tried. So yeah, that's what's interesting too.
I mean, it's a risk. It's like there are just so many things that could happen. I mean, that could, like, you could have regulatory reactions to that. Like, what happens if a bunch of hacked coins just instantaneously flood into confidential transaction outputs, and then nobody else uses it because they don't want to be, like, assumed to be holding hacked coins or something like that. Like, I mean, it's like, I would love to see it happen, but like, I just assume for now it's not going to.
Wait, what is your scenario?
If, like, imagine, let's say the confidential transactions makes it into Bitcoin, and
Yes.
then a bunch of illegal coins from, like, hacks, known criminal activities, like kidnappings, things like that, all just instantly move into confidential outputs, and then nobody else wants to use it.
It's too late. Confidential transactions already in Bitcoin. You can't stop confidential transactions.
But no, I mean, like, seriously, that for your normal person, like, that might just scare everybody away from ever using it, because they'll think, well, somebody will just assume that my coins are, like, involved in some shady things like that.
No, this is silly. I don't think this kind of thing would happen. The normal user uses what the developer builds, like if Copay implements confidential transactions, that's what they are gonna use. They're not gonna care about, but they are not going to implement it because it's more expensive. So yeah.
Well, and it's really good to know that we have good actors in this space like Coinbase, who are, of course, going to do a lot of research in this and implement it as soon as possible.
Yeah, Coinbase is a very profitable company, and And actually, what I've been hearing, I trust, I don't verify. So I heard that they are contributing to Bitcoin Core and general Bitcoin development quite a lot. Maybe they have one person who's doing that. So that's interesting.
Only if you work on Ethereum and Bcash and other shit coins too. Like they literally have refused to help fund Luke Jr. because he's unwilling to work on Ethereum as well.
Oh, that was interesting because, you know, Coinbase is a company where things are not so you know, working in a company where you are a fireman, and they just fire left and right, and you just have to fix and hack around, and that's how you work in companies. Those are growing like crazy and cannot handle the volume that are coming in. And my point is that if Luke would see that what's going on there, and Luke is not that kind of person who would stay quiet and professional and not say anything, you know. That would be, I think this is the reason why they didn't hire Luke, because shit is happening there, and they know that Luke wouldn't just stay quiet and lose all his credibility by not talking, like, something like that. What do you think of this theory?
Well, and honestly, though, would Luke really want to be at Coinbase? I'm sure he has like a bunch of more important stuff to do other than integrating Stellar into Coinbase.
I mean, people have to pay their bills, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, that potentially makes sense, Nopara, but like, honestly, I just think it has to do with. I mean, maybe that's part of it, but like they are like Coinbase is just trying to push so much shit on Ethereum and Bcash and just all this delusional nonsense they're trying to brand as like banking the unbanked when it's nothing but more of the same regulatory compliance, like KYC up the ass horse shit that the legacy system is. It's just on a blockchain now. And like Luke, I do not think in any world or reality would be interested in building things like that. Like he probably looks at it as a waste of his time. And so Coinbase is like, fuck you. Like they're not trying to help Bitcoin. They're trying to appear like they are so that they can maintain a good PR image and keep trying to push more of this nonsense crap built on Ethereum.
It's not that bad. The less Coinbase do with Bitcoin and the more it does with Ethereum, maybe the better it is for Bitcoin as a whole. Maybe not. Maybe.
and right here again, like, there is no true way of getting developers funded other than with also the part sponsorship, right? So if you are using Bitcoin, if you are using this open source software, then you have to contribute to it. That's just pretty much how it works. That's why it is Libre software. That's why it is, to an extent, gratis software. And if you want to support amazing developers like Luke, then go to his Patreon and chip in a couple bucks there, or even better, go to his public donation address and send a couple Satoshis. Of course, the same goes with Adam. If you are using Wasabi Wallet, it is your responsibility to make sure that it is safe and secure, because it is open source software. You have access to all the code. You can either sit your ass down and then go through it and make sure that it is secure, or you can hire someone for doing it. Of course, we can thank Adam a lot for dedicating so much of his years to bringing out this amazing software. But words of encouragement are not going to buy him food and a shelter. So if you like to support, if you like Wasabi, chip in. And there's the Bitcoin donation address in the chat and in the description. So thank you very much for supporting his work. But Adam, of course, donations are not the only way of making sure that that you are that this development is being funded for. How are some other ways that Wasabi, as an entire project, and especially the CK Snacks company, continue to providing this service?
The best way you can help us is to download Wasabi, queue your Bitcoins, and mix. And you're not only helping us, but other people who are relying Wasabi with their privacy, right? So yeah, that's the best thing what you can do. And while we can push up the batch 32 usage of the network too. So that's another thing.
Can't argue with that.
Yep, that's the cool thing. You get, as a service, increased fungibility and privacy for your Bitcoin, and in exchange, you pay a rather small fee to the coordinator, who is currently the CK Snacks company. Great name, by the way.
I just had a marketing thing in my mind. Okay, if you don't care about your privacy, and if you don't care about Wasabi, but you care about segregated witness, then download Wasabi, go to CoinJoin, and queue your coins, and then you're going to use segregated witness over and over again. Batch 32 segregated witness. So that's going to have the adoption. Right? So that's how you do it.
And it's not just SegWit, right? It's also the neutrino client, and also in the part batching, and of course CoinJoins. So there's a lot of advanced tech happening in the Wasabi wallet. And if you're a fan of using Bitcoin to its utmost potential and possibilities, well, then truly use it and check out how Bitcoin truly can function by using Wasabi.
Nah.
Or use Coinbase, of course.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, let's just use Coinbase.
Alrighty.
Okay, Piers, it's been a pleasure talking to you again. I know the long shows with first being on the Block Digest, amazing. Go catch the recording, and now here on the World Crypto Network again. So it was a pleasure talking to you, celebrating the Wasabi version 1.0 release. So maybe to wrap this up, Adam, any last words, and just to sum up, how was the version 1.0 release, and what's to come now?
It's working pretty well. It's working, and there are no issues. So everything is going great. You guys were great. I think this show and the Blog Digest show, the audience of these two shows were great. Seriously, I think without this, the audience of these two shows, Wasabi would not survived. Well, it's a strong word, but maybe it wouldn't be anywhere because there wouldn't be liquidity. So yeah, you guys were great, seriously.
Always happy to help good things.
Exactly, right? And people are always wondering if these projects that I talk about here are sponsored and are paid videos, and absolutely not, right? These are amazing projects that are 100% deserving of all the shilling that we can get as true Bitcoiners. And as I said, we as individual users have a responsibility of supporting these projects, especially when they are open source. And as Wasabi is open source, and as there is no marketing department for Wasabi, what we can do here as content creators is, well, provide content about it, talk about it, and spread the information, which is probably not as valuable as actually writing the code, and definitely much easier, but it nevertheless is important. So Shinobius, any last?
Harder. It is harder.
What the hell are you talking about? I could do this shit faced. It is not.
Well, different people, different skills, right?
There we go.
Well, Adam, you just continue with the black magic that is coding all this amazing stuff, and we just continue talking about it, having a nice loose conversation. Quite easy.
Just the black magic for me.
Well, it's hopefully light magic, but dark, so it's private and you don't see it. And no lightning yet, so it shouldn't be too bright. Shinobius, any last words? What other projects would you like shilling, and especially your thoughts on the version 1.0 release of the amazing privacy-focused Wasabi?
I think the 1.0 launch is pretty awesome. I mean, especially that the landmark, I forget which day last week, I think it was Thursday, the biggest CoinJoin on the Bitcoin network in history. And liquidity has been building up pretty quickly, I think, like a lot faster than I thought it would have. And so I hope that actually continues along the course that it would. And I mean, as far as other projects, I'd like to give a shout out to Samurai, actually. You know, it's another project that's like Adam and Wasabi is really working on building privacy tools. And I think that they have been getting a lot of really overblown and partially unfounded criticism lately, especially from a lot of prominent people in the space. And I would just like to say, you know, when you criticize a project, it's a bold claim to call something a scam and people a liar. And doing so without founded evidence just makes you look like a fool. So I'd like to give a shout out to Samurai for actually continuing to build things and dealing with the blowback that they've been getting, because it's really undeserved. And I do not think in any way they have lied or misrepresented things. Like, it's a work in progress, like most things in the space. So, you know, Wasabi and Samurai, like Adam, you guys are doing awesome work, and both of you should keep it up, because you're going to build things that a lot of people are going to use in the future. Cricket.
I think he's froze. We cannot even end the show without him. We cannot click on the...
Uh-oh. So shit. I guess this is the Shinobi and Adam show. What do you want to fuck around about?
What is that on the screen?
I think that is the CoinJoin, actually. The record-breaking CoinJoin from the Bitcoin network.
Oh, nice.
How big was that again? Like 20 kilobytes or?
I'm trying to see it. I can see. So it can be maximum 100 kilobyte, right? 100 kilobyte, 0.1 megabyte. Actually, it can be the size of the block, but that's not a standard transaction, so it can be maximum 0.1 megabyte. And this was maybe 10 times small. I don't know. This was smaller. We're back.
Computer going back to functioning correctly, Max?
Well, the good thing is with having such a amazing hardware that is only 7 years old and that is truly fast and reliable with cheap payments is no, it really sucks. I'm sorry, guys. This is horrible. I need better hardware. I hope the Pearson laptop is coming soon.
It's okay. Don't throw it out. Don't throw it out.
Times than I can count.
Put it in the background and run Wasabi on it. In the corner.
Well, I always get some usability back with playing Ubuntu on it again and deleting everything. I have to do that every couple of weeks. But I moved to Frankfurt and I forgot my bootable Unix USB stick. So I'm not yet sure how I'm going to restart that without the bootable USB stick. But somehow we will manage and bridge the last couple of weeks before we finally get, or days hopefully, before I get the Pearson laptop. Which, by the way, has been funded with Bitcoin, peer-to-peer payments, no foundation needed, by you, my peers here on the network, on the World Crypto Network. And amazing that that we all stick together here and make sure that Bitcoin as a entire thing continues to succeed. And that is in part, of course, supporting content creators like Block Digest or like the World Crypto Network. So thank you very much for your support and all that. But more importantly, it is making sure that you align your actions to your thoughts and emotions. So if you feel that privacy is important, and if you believe that Bitcoin therefore should be as anonymous as possible to make sure that your liberties are protected, well, then go out there and live by these principles and run software that is in accordance with these principles. And Wasabi Wallet is one of many software projects that are in line with liberty and with privacy. And we are very thankful for all your support and for especially running Wasabi software and providing feedback for Adam so he can continue with the black magic coding and making it even better. This has been a lot of fun, again, talking about Wasabi and celebrating version 1.0 and really looking forward to what is to come. So again, thank you, Adam, and thank you, Shinobi.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me on, man. Fun as always.
Perfect. So Piers, see you on the next show, hopefully with better audio, little spoiler, and hopefully with a more reliable hardware. But we need bigger blocks in my hardware, clearly. So Piers, see you on the next show. Bye-bye.